Hey folks, you're tuning into the Digital Culture Ideas YouTube show and podcast. And today I want you to meet Melanie Highet, my friend and also my partner at Microsoft. So Mel has a really proactive vision and strategic acumen, which make her a super invaluable ally in the ever-evolving landscape of technology and business. And you can trust her to guide you through all the complexities of the digital world, where every challenge is an opportunity and every interaction is a step towards success. So welcome, Mel. How are you?
I'm great, thank you, and thanks for allowing me to be here.
This is such a treat to have you on the show. We work so closely day in, day out, and now I actually have you in the hot seat, Mel. I think I know you anyway, but I'm looking forward to getting to know you even better. And I think it would be great to start with, just for the context of our listeners that are tuning in that may not know you quite as intimately as I do. How about you tell us a bit about yourself, set a bit of context for your career and your background, and what was your journey to becoming an account executive?
Sure, I'd love to. It's a bit like Work Wives revealing past dating history. I don't know.
Totally. Spill the tea.
How we work together. Look. So I'm Mel Highet, obviously. My role at Microsoft alongside Hillary is as an account executive. So I'm responsible for the commercial and strategic partnerships with the customers in our territory. I live in Auckland and I'm a wife to Scott and a mum to Regan and Victoria and a stepmum to Ethan and Samantha. I'm a daughter. I'm an older sister. And I came into tech completely by accident. I had, after sort of not really knowing what to do post high school, I rolled into a finance degree. I was trucking along to be an accountant and an auditor like all my friends around me. And about a year into it went, oh, this isn't for me. And coincidentally, at the same time, my part-time job was nannying, funnily enough, or babysitting. And I got a gig doing that for a couple who'd started a software development firm. And through getting friendly with them, that turned into a job doing bookkeeping and reception type work for them as a second part-time job while I was studying. And through that got to learn a little bit about software development, mainly around Access, SQL, Visual Basic, solutions on top of databases, really, custom software development stuff. And it was just like doing Sudoku. Well, I wasn't ever really going to be an accountant.
IT nerd. Yeah.
I didn't really know what else to do. I was doing a bit of math on the side, but I, didn't really know. I mean, who knows at 19 or 20 what they want to be, it's a big ask, I reckon, to decide your whole life at that sort of age. I mean, I could hardly decide what to wear, let alone at that age what to do with my entire life. But so I likened it to doing Sudoku actually and puzzles, which I really love. And I suppose that goes hand in hand with just having a general curiosity about the world and business, how businesses work, and particularly their relationship with their customers. That's the part that I really love about my job, is learning how the customers I work with affect the everyday Kiwi, and putting myself in those shoes. So, and from there I trained as a software developer, analyst, programmer, and very quickly didn't like being in the back office, so took support roles so that I could go out and visit customers and have a cup of tea and turn the computer off and on again and make things work and generally look like a general hero when I wasn't really. And that from there moved to managing help desks and call centers and then ended up in sales roles for software development firms. So and landed myself my latest job at Microsoft. I've been here 2.5 years and really love it.
So what a journey, and lots of changes along the way too. But kind of that puzzle solving, problem solving is probably a bit of a constant maybe throughout the career resume. It's always quite, life never goes to plan, I guess. Can you tell me about some experiences where, you had some career challenges or things that you faced and what happened there?
Yeah. I think, the biggest challenge for me, looking back, was feeling like I was being taken seriously as quite a young female. I had an executive role in my mid-20s, and I was often the only woman in the room and often the youngest person in the room by some considerable number of years. And so,
yeah.
And so that was always quite challenging. I never sort of felt like I was taken seriously enough. And I always second guessed myself and played into that stereotype as well. I think we're doing a lot better on that today. I see young people coming through in roles at customers and within Microsoft, and I'm so heartened, because excluding people from a conversation ultimately just detracts from the outcome of that conversation. Like, all perspectives are really important, and people have something to contribute to every conversation that maybe things you haven't thought of. And I think that, how did I overcome them? Just sheer obstinateness. Also I suppose a bit of wide mouth frog syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
No, do explain.
Parable. So the joke parable thing goes that there's a wide mouth frog, and he walks up to various animals and says, "Hi, I'm a wide mouth frog. What do you like to eat?" And they all say green grass, trees, whatever. And he finally gets to a crocodile, and the crocodile says, "I like to eat wide mouth frogs." And he goes, "Oh, that's very nice." So
for people listening to this on podcast, you have to watch the video on YouTube to just see how that played out. You can probably guess though.
Yeah. So I think I was certainly blessed and by my naivete when I was younger. I hadn't clocked, that perhaps this wasn't the smartest question to ask, but the freedom of not worrying about the consequences of asking a question, in your weakness lies your strength, certainly has helped me many times on my journey. Has proved challenging at times too, but more often than not, asking the dumb question opens the conversation. And, I've sort of now adopted that as a motto to live by. If the question pops up for you 2 or 3 times, then ask it, right? Maybe the first time, resist the impulse. Second time, hold it again. And then third time, if it's coming up, it's a question that, you just have to ask, rather than and
it's probably not that exactly, because you're right, it's that whole fear of the judgment of others, which is, I think, everybody's Achilles heel. So the more you can kind of block that out, or have strategies not to care, or strategies to care cautiously about what you fear and what you don't, I think that's awesome advice. And so digging into the sales piece, like if there are sort of people out there who are looking to get into that more in the future, what would be your go-to advice for them? Thinking about the world of sales, what's your advice for them getting into that as a career?
Yeah, I think a couple of pieces of advice for people is absolutely indulge your curiosity. Like I said, ask the questions. Sales is a conversation between people. It's not always, everyone can explore a product in their own right and see what it does and test it out and work out whether the product is right for you. But the sales part is the person's responsibility. It's not the thing you're engaging with. So coming back to sales as a conversation. So always pick up the phone, have the real-time conversation. Don't hide behind emails and text messages. And I just can't highlight enough that it's a human characteristic, I suppose, to be fearful, right? Fearful of an answer. But being told no sometimes is the greatest gift a customer can give you, because it means you can put it down and concentrate on the thing that actually matters. So a conversation is super valuable. And so being curious and asking, the place to do that is in a conversation, asking questions, and being, highlighting your own taking an actual general interest in the people that you're dealing with. It always amazes me that people think sales is this super complex, very difficult thing. I'm often taken aback or off guard when people say, gee, I could never do that. And I just think it's talking to somebody.
It's funny because you hear that very often, and like people are probably as scared of sales as they are of public speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, I get the public speaking thing a bit more, like, lots and lots of eyes on you at one time, can be very intimidating, but sales doesn't have to be a one-to-many, lots of one-to-one, is really important. I kind of buoy myself by going through life by saying, we all have the same thoughts probably about other people's jobs as well. Like, oh, I could never do that. I've heard developers say, well, of course you could. You just need, you just need the knowledge. You just need the practice. You just need to put in the effort. So, I think so. Everyone's a salesperson. I always say to every team, no matter what it is you do, when you're in an organization that serves customers, everybody is a salesperson, because really everything speaks. So the quality of your customer service, that every interaction with your customer, they will be forming an opinion about you, your brand, your organization. So, we're all in sales whether we like it or not.
Yeah. When I've thought about it, and I haven't always naturally liked the sales thing either. The service word was a word that you just mentioned there, and I've heard people talk about sales as just service. You're serving someone, you're trying to help them to reach a goal. And I'm like, oh, yeah, actually that resonates a lot more than how many widgets, can you get them to buy. So sales as service, has a nicer ring to it.
I think, customers can smell commission breath. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
So if you're in it for that, and there are lots of people who are, but if that's your predominant reason, it's going to come across, right? And so ultimately, I try to, adopt a mantra or adopt a focus on, how am I helping, rather than worrying about what's coming out the other end. Sorry, Microsoft bosses, if you're
it will come. I missed a trick there. I should have got you. I missed a trick. I should have got you to explain commission breath to me, Mel. I won't now. But it's interesting because it does remind me of my social media and the thought leadership I like to do down there. Like when I'm talking to people about it, as in they're trying to learn, how do you do it? What's your strategy hills? Like I talk about, there's different types of posts. There's like credibility posts where you're sort of saying, these are my top, strategies for this, or I've done the research and I think this is a great approach. There's curated knowledge where you're giving people knowledge. So again, you're kind of sharing something valuable with them. There's character posts where you're talking a bit more about yourself, so people kind of get to know who you are. And then the posts that I talk about with people that you do the least, because of this commission breath thing that you're talking about, is the sales post or the ask post or the buy my widget, buy my course, here's my new product. Because you're right, people can just, it can be a bit of a turn off when it's as blatant as that all the time. You always need that commission breath at some stage, but there's a way to do it in a way where it's not consistently breathing over them.
I think like if you take a job interview scenario, for example, I mean, that's the most common sales and times. Every single person who's ever applied for a job is actually a salesperson of themselves in that moment, right? And so how you come across in that job, if you're communicating that if your priority is to attain the job, to earn the salary. You know, the people are going to, they're going to work that out. However, so, you know, nobody would go into the job and say, interview and say, yeah, I'm just here to earn the money, thanks. You know, you'll hopefully have a much better reason for, you know, applying for a job and have a much better conversation. But at the end of the interview, anyone who ever asks me for interview advice, I always counsel them to ask for the job, right? How did I do? You know, try and close, like especially if it's a sales job, right? Demonstrate some attempt at closing in terms of, you know, so where do I sit in the hierarchy of, you know, what's my prospect, or how am I, you know, where am I in the preferred candidate list, and, you know, lead into a conversation therefore potentially about what I could do, grab a learning from it, right? So often people go to interviews, and at the end of the interview they say, we'll get back to you, and then you sit and you wait and you learn nothing from that process, right? So you take a moment in the interview itself with the people who are interviewing you to have that, you know, part of the conversation is another piece of advice.
It's a great tip. Close the job interview. Perfect. So Mel, we're coming up to about 1.5 years. We've been riding shotgun together on this wild era of AI, as we're told over and over. You know, there's lots of employees at Microsoft. You know, you and I are not alone. We're trying to keep up with where this is all going, the number of, you know, products and features that are coming down the line, and then there's our customers who are trying to work out what to build and what to do. For you personally, if we just start there, what have been some of the challenges when it comes to, let's say, just implementing AI in your life, at your own life and work, let alone the customers? Like, what have you noticed?
A couple of things. Challenges, you know, the first in a personal context is trying to not be set in my ways, and trying to, I'm not a very good, going back to being a beginner at things. I famously returned a snowboard because I'm a skier. After a day snowboarding, went, no, can't do that. Took the snowboard back, got on skis. Didn't like going back to being a beginner again. And so, in some ways, adopting AI into my life and into my corporate life has felt like going back to being a beginner at some things, and recognizing, and mainly I think the thing about that is that it takes a bit longer when you first start, and time is money, and you know, always of the essence. Everybody wants everything yesterday, so sometimes feeling like, this is taking me forever, I could have just done it the old way by now. But needing to, understanding that ultimately putting in the work to make the change, to learn, to establish the patterns and practices around AI will pay dividends, and they are starting to pay dividends in terms of the time I get back, or the focus time I've now created for myself through, you know, moving mundane update type call summarization, you know, meeting minutes and things like that. Yeah, getting that all done has been amazing. But yeah, just that initial, I suppose, tension of change, and feeling like I had to take 2 steps back, or a step back to take 2 steps forward. Then I think the next big challenge, actually something you helped me with actually, is I'm not sure if I should publicly admit this, but I will anyway, is just the pace of change and keeping up with it. And I think you said something somewhere that said all you have to do is sort of stay a couple of paces ahead. You don't have to be the first person running away from the lion. You just have to not be the last person when, you know, the bear or the lion's chasing you. So that's been quite a freeing sort of mindset for me.
That's a good one. Because even though we've had it for a while in terms of tool sets at Microsoft, I still feel like I'm in this transition mode with learning about how to use AI, like absolutely. And I think one of the things I've been thinking about, and I think you made me think about this the other day, was there's now you've got so much more access to information. You've got more access to meetings that you haven't attended for one, and more access to even just a conversation has passed, but if you've recorded the transcript and you can co-pilot it, you can go back and mine it for information, so you can get deeper, more richer information than you would have been able to just comprehend at the time. And all this is amazing, but it's also like, oh, I haven't quite worked out whether I should be going into all of this information in great detail, or what do I need to know to effectively do my job, and then when do I need to deep dive into this information, and when don't I? Do I have to send meeting minutes for every meeting that I've co-piloted now? I don't think you do, but there's this kind of, oh, it's recorded. They're great notes. I should send them out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, for me, I'm in transition mode in terms of my work habits with AI. It's amazing, and it's helping me definitely move faster. And any mundane work is an instant trigger in my mind to go, you shouldn't be doing this. AI should be doing this. But there's just so much more that I can do now. I haven't quite worked out which more to prioritize first.
Yeah.
I guess that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I agree. I think it's the same. I'm in the same boat, right? I'm trying to use AI to do the same things I always did. So I use AI to minute a meeting I wouldn't have minuted before. But definitely using it to be a bit more, meetings I should have minuted and probably didn't. So trying to, use AI to help me, one, do things I used to do better, but do, perhaps there were on the cusp things that you have to deprioritize because of timeliness or competing priorities. But AI can help lift some of those things back up, which is what I'm finding. And by the same token, I think the thing I said to you is, I'm just finding that, the work throughput is exploding of all the people around me as well. And it feels like we've all gone from being in a jog together to now, being in a sprint. And as we all know, we've got to work out how pushing on that. We've got, we may be able to run at a higher cadence, but how sustainable is that in the longer term? So we have to make sure that we've got the right water stations, food stations, first aid.
I knew an analogy would come out. I was just waiting for it, Mel. For everyone listening, so Mel is the queen of analogies. She's able to explain anything with a very simple analogy, which is one of the reasons I love working her. One, because you understand what she's saying, and two, because they are often humorous from time to time. So here we go. Analogy number one for the call. Keep it coming. Okay. So talking about AI, we've talked about you kind of personally. If we're sort of thinking a little bit more macro now in terms of AI and AI trends, what are you most excited about, or what is completely blowing your mind with some of the stuff you're seeing?
I'm really excited to see what my kids are going to do with it. I might not be an answer you're interested in, but my younger two, who are 10 and 11, are absolutely frothing at the mouth to get hold of the AI that creates, like DALL-E, that creates images. And they really, really interested in, because I've been speaking about it with my husband at home and sharing the kind of things that we're doing and seeing internally at Microsoft and with our customers in an abstract way, no secrets shared, but because an active part of that dinner table conversation and how excited they're getting about it just themselves. And I always think it's the younger generation that push us all forward. Not that I think we're in the older generation, but it'll be very, I'm super curious to see
fresh minds, right? Fresh ways of thinking about things, that we have the baggage of the past in terms of processes and how we do things, and they might not have that.
What I am super excited about is as a customer of some very big brands that are adopting AI that we're seeing, I'm really excited about the way in which that will transform our everyday lives and improve the quality of service. So banks, telcos, energy providers, the opportunities for improved customer service and improved customer journeys in terms of onboarding, interactions with call centers when you have a problem. I'm really excited about the benefit of that for consumers, basically. Because at the end of the day, it's consumers who bear the brunt of everything, right? The prices go up, it's at a cost, price goes up, at a cost, price goes up. So, something that will ultimately deliver real value and meaningful value, I think is really exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think one of my previous guests sort of spoke about, because everyone will do AI at one stage, and so the processes will get better, but it'll be those companies that actually do an amazing job of the customer experience, that it's like that will be the differentiator for businesses, not just that they've got AI, but it's an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of hyper personalization and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, really comes in, is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me into talking about businesses implementing AI, Mel. Because you and I, we've got a little project that we've got on the side. Mel and I, for those who don't know, we've decided to write and sort of compile a book around how to implement an AI strategy into your business in 6 months. And we have taken on the task of sort of interviewing different people and getting their opinion and recommendations around this. We're at the beginning phase of that. So, Mel, my question to you is, putting the question to you that we're giving to the people who are going to be contributing to our book. If you had to implement AI into an ordinary business, or pick whatever business you like, within 6 months, what would be the one thing you do, or the steps you'd take? What do you think you would come up with as your entry into your own book?
The number one thing is just start. Just start, right? You can plan and you spend too much time in the planning and thinking and scoping and talking about it phases. And the real, as we've just talked about, the pace of change is amazing. So, what it is you start planning for, by the time you finish planning for it, will probably look a little bit different than when you started planning for it. So my advice is get started, and start with something small and tangible you can put your arms around, or you can kind of see and measure. Because if it's taking you 6, 12 months, to get this stuff started, it's taking you too long, and you're going to miss the train, you're going to miss the bus, so to speak. I think that if you're a really small business, get some trusted advice. This is not the kind of thing that you can sort of mess around with on your own if you're not already in the cloud, or I'm picturing people, your single man band tradies, or people who IT and tech is not their forte, and this stuff needs is a little bit different than you say software as a service in the past, where you might have just enrolled in Xero or enrolled in an online software provider and put some data in, and away you went. This stuff is a little bit more tricky than that. So get some advice is the other piece I would say.
And I'm actually quite excited for small to medium businesses.
Yeah.
Like, one, because I think there's going to be some great products coming down the line for them. Like you say, maybe they don't need to build from scratch, but there'll be some other options which they can use and experiment with in their business. But I think you're right. Experimentation is key. Like, you don't have to be an absolute, genius. Don't wait to be a genius in AI. Otherwise, you'll miss the show altogether. Yeah. I'm definitely excited for small to medium businesses. As everyone's trying to do more with less, AI is one of those things that is definitely going to help. Them with growth, or do more, or serve better, like you say, which is pretty cool. And are there any other considerations you think you want to bring up around this, either for businesses or maybe in terms of their employees, getting them prepared?
I think just doubling down on that comment about getting some help, probably I should clarify that a bit more. It's more about the security aspect, right? Is what I should have expanded on. We are seeing, not to doom and gloom or naysay, but it is a real aspect to consider about AI, as we are certainly seeing people become more and more sophisticated in the way, say, bad actors, use this technology to achieve nefarious ends, and also, the vulnerability of organisations, and small business is not immune from that. So, really important consideration is security, not just from there's cyber security, but the other pieces around that as well, how AI can play into keeping you safe from an end-to-end perspective, physical security, digital security, and cyber security. So that would be the other element. I mean, we really have the keys to Dad's Rolls Royce. Do you know what I mean? and it can go fast, and it can it's a luxury ride, and it can deliver a ton of amazing outcomes, but it comes with a high risk factor.
Yeah, with great responsibility, great power, great responsibility.
Exactly that.
Because there has been some pretty interesting, even cybersecurity cases recently. I know deep fakes are really starting to make a feature. I know we were looking at that just the other day, Mel. Some companies have been fooled by deep fake technology, either in like the voice sounds like the CEO calling, or it's actually literally a video conference call. And and when I was reading up on this, like everyone in the video conference was actually a deep fake except for the person taking the call. Like it's getting pretty scary how that can.
I might finally get that singing recording career I've always wanted.
I've actually been thinking that too. Now that I can use AI to create the song and then inject my voice in, and now the image is dancing around, I'm like, yeah, this could be a thing.
But yes, totally.
So when I started this podcast, oh God, it might even be about 4 years ago now, like I called it Digital Culture Ideas. It was all about how technology and the internet's going to change how we behave and think and make decisions and communicate. If you think about the tech landscape and the changes and what having a digital culture might mean, how would you think about it?
Look, I think the easiest thing that most people can relate to, it's taken away from a business context, but digital culture isn't. We're not going to go backwards from a digital culture, right? If you look at our children and the way in which they're consuming media, the way in which they are interacting with each other over different channels now. They don't go out into the street and play as much anymore, but they do talk to their peers more than ever before. But online, right? It's like they have all their friend group in their room with them 6 or 7 hours a day because they have a device that's connected to all those people. I mean, digital culture is super important in that context, because if we don't work out how to embrace safely all the technology that's available to us, ultimately other people will work out how to do it for us, right? And it might not be in the manner that we like or that we want. So I think a digital culture is super important. And then that's true of in a business context as well, right? Just at a very basic level in terms of the way in which we are working and engaging with each other. Collaboration is so much easier than ever before. Being able to be in different parts of the world and opening a document and authoring that all at the same time while chatting to each other in real time is mind-blowing, really, if you think about it. Just the ability to do that from at the start of my career to now, thinking about how that's changed is mind-blowing. And so I liken the culture part to how it enhances our lives and how we deal with it mentally when we're away, emotionally when we're away and when we're using this technology, how it amplifies or detracts from our relationships with other people, both, professionally and personally. So yeah, so vital that that we set the terms for that ourselves.
Yeah. Because there is a bit of like, just as I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking about my kids gaming and, like you say, talking to their friends most nights as they're coordinating, the game that they're playing. And I'm like, oh, that's bad. But then I'm like, actually, I'm kind of doing that for quite a number of hours every day as I talk to you, or other people or customers. And it's like, actually, yeah, there's a bit of a paradox there. Maybe we're actually doing the same thing. But like you say, you've got to make sure it's on your terms, that you've got those breaks in there, those well-being pieces, those times away, times when you're present with people who are in the real. To make it all balance out.
Yeah, because the fact that we're all human and we feel our feelings the same way we did before this technology came around, right? So, and how people emotively react to things, it drives the adoption, drives their attitude towards it, and perhaps their attitude to colleagues, work, the thing they're doing. It's a new world, shall we say?
It is. Okay, Mel. Tell us about the apps on your phone.
Oh, what do you want to know about the apps on my phone?
I want to know what the top apps are on your phone.
Messages.
Or if that's a bit boring, like what the ones you're enjoying the most are. Either way you want to.
I already alluded to that. I've got the New York Times puzzles app. That's my favourite app.
Of course you do.
Yep, I do the Wordle and the Mini and the crossword regularly. That's
Are we talking 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Or...
I do the Wordle every day.
I
do the Wordle every day. Nice. Yeah, that's my favourite app, and mainly because it is my escapism. Like if I, want to stop thinking about something, if I apply myself to that, all of a sudden, the Mini takes, less than 2 minutes to do, and the Wordle takes, sometimes all day actually, but a short amount of time. It's a great reset.
Yes, nice.
And the rest, really, I'm a bit boring. They're all sort of connectivity things for talking to other people, as you'd expect from a salesperson who just wants to connect with everybody all the time. My husband's favorite app, though, I'll mention, is the stargazing app. He likes to, there's an app and you hold it up and you can see where Venus or Pluto or anything are, when you go around even down through the bottom of the earth. He really is getting into that one at the moment. Yeah, so kids like that too. It's quite funny.
That is very cool. Very cool. And yeah, so what's next for you, Mel? What's coming up? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing where this book takes us.
Yes.
I've had a couple of submissions from contributors. The fact-finding phase is pretty exciting. I'm blown away by the people who've agreed to help us and contribute. So thank you to those people. You know who you are, and you'll be heavily featured in the book, no doubt. I am looking forward to the end of Microsoft's financial year. So, Q4 is an interesting time at Microsoft. We have a lot of focus on making sure that the goals we've set for ourselves are achieved. So, with a few having already been ticked off the list, it's feeling pretty good this year. But a couple still left to do, so that's good. And looking forward to all the feedback from people who've listened to this fabulous podcast, telling us how amazing we are.
And for people who do tune in, if you do want to do a submission for a book, please get in contact. We're more than happy to talk to you about that. We've got a bit of a framework we're looking for.
It's not onerous. It's not onerous.
But definitely a bit of a framework that we're looking for people to fill in. So just get in touch. And so I guess finishing up here, Mel, is there any final words or takeaways you want to leave everyone with?
Oh gosh, really, like I said, I think that we're very lucky to be alive at the time that we're alive. We're at this amazing pivotal moment in digital culture and tech, where we're seeing, possibly the next biggest, when we look back, they'll say the wheel, the this, the internet, the AI. And to be alive at that sort of moment in time. I was also alive when the internet happened too, by the way, but
Me too, yeah.
The platform you're using helpfully made me look better than I am.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So embrace it, right? Don't get left behind, embrace it.
Absolutely. Mel, I love working with you. I learn so much from you. I feel like you're my yin, to my yang. I love your commercial and entrepreneurial brain and how it works. And yeah, keeping up with you is a full-time job, but good thing we have a full-time job together.
Back at you, honestly. I think we're the yin and yang. I can't agree with you more, except for I think the yin and the yang makes something bigger than the sum of the parts. So thank you very much.
Nice. Look, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks for answering all my questions. And I'm so pleased you're able to drop an analogy or a metaphor in there somewhere.
You
Gold. I knew it would come. I love you, heaps.